The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
This movie wasn't too bad here. Like, it was interesting. I would say that it's okay by me. If it's okay by you, Rimshot.
Oh, goodness. Nothing like swamp humor to get us started here.
Normally it's toilet, but we've moved to swamp today.
Wow. Okay. Alrighty, folks. Well, welcome to Cinema IRL. This episode, we were talking about Hungry, not to be confused with Hungry Hippos, but kind of the same thing. We have 6 tourists who are visiting Louisiana who go on a boat tour to see some crocodiles, and they get more than they bargained for when they encounter a hippo who is out to do some damage.
Yeah. The worst part of this movie, I'm going to say, is the title.
Hungry?
Yeah, it's an absolutely terrible title because the hippos weren't hungry. They don't eat humans. Like, they're literally, they're in a protective territorial thing. It's not about them being hungry.
That's true.
But you still want to make the hungry hippo joke, so.
They are vegetarians, and they kill when somebody is threatening their territory, threatening their family or their babies. And this boat full of tourists has gone into an area which is way outside of the normal tour area by 3 or 4 miles. And there's a hippo out there. So, yeah, he's not eating them. He is not hungry. And he is just she is very territorial. And the reason they're out there is because of a woman who tips the captain to go out a little further because she wants to see a really, really big crocodile.
Well, first of all, let's just bring the IRL into Cinema IRL. There are no hippos in New Orleans or anywhere near. The only hippos you're going to find in the United States are sadly in zoos. It's just, that's not a thing. But
So
I'm suspending it for the point of the movie.
Well, they did address that in the fact that they were snuck in at some point for some secret hippo program. But this movie...
How do you sneak in a 3.5-ton animal?
Well, as baby, how do you poach any animals and ship them in to zoos or for exotic animal sales? That happens every frickin' day where animals are abducted from their homes and put in cargo holds or hubcaps of tires or suitcases or whatever to smuggle into the United States for purposes that are not in that animal's best interest.
I'd like to see you smuggle a hippo in under a wheel, even a baby one.
Again, a baby. So this movie felt very similar to the movie that we saw a little while ago called Deep Water.
Yeah,
and
I was thinking that too.
there was a passenger on the plane in Deep Water, and if you haven't seen it, be sure to check out that episode, which will be mentioned in the show notes, about a guy who essentially causes a plane crash. And then they're trying to survive in an ocean full of sharks, and everyone keeps dying, and the guy in Deep Water is always like, you've got to save us, and this is unfair, and we shouldn't be here. And then, thankfully, he dies.
Nope.
This movie had a woman who assumed that same role, who was equally unlikable, who caused this issue. So this woman tips the captain $300 to go out of the normal area. And because of that, they encounter this hippo. And all along, she's screaming, this is wrong. How could you put us here? I'm going to sue you. You got to get us out of here. And the only reason they were there was because of her. So obviously, spoiler, when she dies, I'm glad she dies, just like I was glad the guy on Deep Water died.
Yeah, I kind of felt like she didn't deserve to live as long as she did.
No, she should have died much earlier in the film.
She should have, but obviously you have to keep that, how you say, bitchy
She
aura going.
Yeah, she was ridiculous.
And she was giving Karen.
I was thinking that if they needed bait for the hippo, they should have just tossed her in, because not only was she self-serving and completely ignorant of the situation that she had caused, she actually caused one of the other people to fall into the water, and he died and got eaten by a hippo. So let's dig into some what would you do's here, because there's a lot going on in this film. So the first one would be, what would you do when you see, so the whole reason they're out of the designated area is to find this really large crocodile who has a GPS on, and he is very far out of the normal tour area. So they go there and they find him on the shore, basically chomped in half. What do you do at that point?
Well,
when this crocodile that's 12 feet long, they said?
Yeah, here's the thing. There's nothing that lives in that area that would do that to a crocodile.
A dinosaur, maybe?
Especially a large one. Like, there's just nothing in that area. They are especially in the water, they are the apex predators.
Maybe they wandered into the movie Anaconda, where there was creatures that could eat them.
Yeah, if I see that, I'm not saying a damn word. I'm turning that boat around and I am going. I don't care how much you yell, Karen. We are turning around.
Or her name's Dion.
Yeah, Karen, Dion, same thing.
All right, so they do start to turn around, and as they turn around, their boat gets knocked, and all of them fall into the water, and the boat flips. At this point, you're all in the water. What is going through your head? What do you do?
Well, for one, just as a note, the way the territorial stuff works, the hippo wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't ram a boat?
Not one that's trying to turn around and go the other way.
Well, they don't. Actually, he doesn't know they're going the other way. He wasn't anywhere around. They turned around from where Big Ben was, which was the very large crocodile. And as they were going down, then comes the hippo. I don't know that they were trying to get away. Maybe they just passed the hippo's path. I'd be more inclined to think that.
I'm certainly not thinking hippos, though. I will say this. Even if there's no hippos, there are alligators and crocodiles, and they are enough reason that you don't want to be hanging out in the water.
For sure. And they end up trying to get on top of the boat, and some climb into the trees, which it's a swamp, it's a bayou. So, yeah, there's trees in the middle of the water. So they're trying to get as far away from the water and from the surface of the water as possible. But chaos ensues.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Rodrigo got punctured.
He did. He got drugged down and they didn't see him for a while. And then finally he surfaced and the hippo had taken him down deep and somehow let him go. But he had a very deep wound in his chest.
Yeah. So I'm definitely freaking out because, again, there's nothing out there that could do that.
And you're really far away. You're in a bayou 3 or 4 miles outside of any area where there'd be tourist traffic or any hope of someone passing by to help.
Yeah. Well, first of all, when you go out like this, especially if you're going to go off the path, you need to make 100% certain that your GPS is on. Just turn it on.
That does seem important. I would say the other, jumping back just a moment, what would you do, is Dion, our very entitled woman who paid the $300 tip to go into basically a restricted area, essentially. She shows up for this day out of looking for crocodiles in the bayou in basically a power suit and stiletto heels practically. So what would you do if I was the tour operator? I would say, ma'am, you are not appropriately dressed and you need to at least get on some flat shoes, because she says, oh, I was only supposed to be here for a day. My flight got booked. I have time, so I'm going on this trip. But from a safety and legal standpoint, I would not have let that woman on my tour just because of the way she was dressed. Now, if she wants to dress in a power suit, whatever, but you cannot be going into the bayou, into a boat with heels that tall and with a base that tiny.
Yeah, here's your money back. That is a lawsuit waiting to happen.
For sure.
Which apparently if she had survived, there probably would have been.
She would have absolutely sue them. And not only is it dangerous for her and the tour operator from any legal things of her getting injured, it actually kind of shows what her expectations are. Like, I hate to say it's good to judge a book by the cover, but if someone comes to your tour to get onto your very rickety old van to go into a bayou on a rusty old boat and they're dressed like that, their expectations are not in alignment with the experience you are prepared to deliver.
Yeah, maybe you don't fully judge a book by its cover, but you can definitely judge a book by its cover, at least partially.
Yeah, and she was very high maintenance and proved to be the entire time and put them in that situation. So back to them up in the trees and teetering on the boat, and they're trying to treat the Captain Rodrigo. And fortunately, one of the people on the tour is a nurse, and her dad, who was with her, was a former fireman. So they are very well equipped to help him. They find a flare. They heat up a knife with the flare. They cauterize his bite wound. And he's patched up for the moment, but he is not doing good. And we have 6 people on this tour. And one of them is a family of 3, a mom, her son, and her dad. We have 2 girlfriends, and we have Dion. Dion, of course, is our high-maintenance $300 tipper.
Yeah, it was a bit of an eclectic group in a way, but I mean, at least it seemed like most of the rest were taking it seriously. Like Dion, she was not taking it seriously to the point that even after there was major issues that started to happen with the boat, she still demanded to get over by Big Ben and get a picture.
Yeah, she was very self-serving, self-involved person.
And let me be very clear about my opening when I said that this was an okay movie. You expect this movie to cap out at like 2.5 stars. Like going in, you're like, if this is the best presentation they could possibly do, it's going to be like 2.5 stars.
Out of how many stars?
5.
Okay.
And it didn't get there. It probably was 2.
If you were going to see an action movie about a hippo who attacks people, come on. Are you expecting it to be The Godfather? No. It's going to be a campy kind of silly film, even though that's not its intent. The premise of the film is what it is. So
yeah, when people die in movies, often there are other people in the theater that laugh, and those people are generally sick in the head. But in this case, I just turned to Amber at the beginning. I'm like, people are going to die, and I'm going to laugh in this one.
Okay.
Because this was just so right for what would you do.
So as they are hanging onto the boat, hanging onto the limbs, the first of many people fall in the water. And everyone scrambles to save her. It's Susan, it's the mom. And as they get her out of the water, then someone else falls in the water, and then someone else tries to save them. And long story short, one of our girlfriends, Hannah, gets eaten by the hippo. By Hannah.
I want to make something very clear. As much as we're slamming Dion, and she deserves it.
She does.
My course of action is pretty much exactly what she did.
But Dion
she got in the tree, and she didn't effing move.
But the thing is she kept acting like everyone there was her employee of, you go over there and you swim under there and you call for help. And listen, lady, we are not your servants. Everyone here is trying to survive, and you can contribute or you can die.
I'm not saying that she should have been a bitch, because she was. But I'm just saying that from a survival perspective, I'm getting in a tree and I'm not moving. Like, I don't care what your plan is. The boat, listen, that boat has already been capsized. The one that Walker came in was not nearly...
Okay, you're jumping way ahead. Nobody knows who Walker is, and nobody knows about that. So hang on, let's stay in the moment. So Hannah is our first victim. And then in the chaos of everyone falling in and everyone needing help, Tim, who is Sally's dad, the mom's dad, being the fireman, says, okay, the girl's going to hurt herself. Let me jump in and I will help. And then he is victim number 2 of our hippo.
Like, the problem is these people were dying because they were effing around.
They weren't effing around.
You get in the tree and you don't move.
Okay, some people try to help people.
I get that, but 5 of them could have easily been all up in the tree. Obviously, Rodrigo can't because he's...
Well, and Hannah fell. So...
Well, yeah, but if I remember correctly, she fell trying to get somewhere to get her bag out of the water. Girl, your bag's gone. Like, your bag's gone. Don't F around.
Well, actually, it wasn't gone. They found her bag later.
Well, yes, but my point is that you don't risk that. It is your life you are risking for a bag. I don't care what's in that bag.
So at this point, 2 of our characters have lost someone. Sistine has lost her girlfriend, Hannah, and Sally has lost her dad, Tim. And things are looking grim, and it's going to get dark, and they're not sure if the GPS was even on or not because the boat is tipped. So someone needs to go down and see if the GPS is on, and if not, try to turn it on so maybe they have a prayer of someone finding them. What would you do with that conversation happening?
Well, knowing that they really did need to get to the GPS, this is actually one of those situations where I'm not going to be able to argue with what they did. They took some of the gasoline and they poured it around the boat and then they lit it on fire.
Basically lighting the water on fire. Here's the issue I had with that. My what would you do immediately went to, are you cray-cray? Because those flames were up high enough to set the trees on fire. And if the trees went up in flames, then they have no place to hide. I thought that was really reckless and careless and short-sighted to light the water on fire that was right under the trees that they were the only place they had for safety.
Yeah, and I don't know that they needed to light as much of it. You just need to hit the parts that are furthest out from the trees.
And that's...
Like, it doesn't need to be a full circle, because I promise you, if that thing's aflame, like, the hippos aren't going to get within 20, 30 feet of it.
And for those who didn't see Hungry, just for clarification, they did this because they wanted to create a barrier, a distraction to deter the hippo from coming by so someone could get under the boat, find the GPS, unlock the cabinet, bring it back up, and so they could see if anyone was looking for them or at least
it was
fix
just
the
brief
GPS.
protection.
Yeah. So Sistine, our young heroine here, who also tried to save her friend Hannah, says, okay, fine, I will go. And mostly because nobody else is really capable of it, or like Sally won't let her son do it, and Dion won't, and Rodrigo has been bitten. So Sistine goes under, she finds it, turns out it's wet, they're able to activate it and turn on the GPS so someone has a prayer of finding them.
I don't know how strong of a swimmer they each were.
Who?
Between Sistine and Mikey.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because those were the only 2 realistic options.
Yeah, Mike was Sally's son, and after losing her dad, she told him, like, no, you're not going in the water.
Well,
I already
Sally
lost my dad. I'm not losing you.
Sally can say whatever she wants. That situation is still a lethal situation that you have to do the right thing to get out of it, regardless of which faction you came in with. All things being equal, I'm going to send Mikey because, I mean, he was physically stronger and probably could get this done a little faster. I'm not being sexist. I'm just being...
I don't know if that's true or not, but he does come in to get Sistine when the fire starts to go out and feels like she's in danger and she needs to come back up. But fortunately, she just found the GPS and it is activated and supposedly help is on the way, even though at this point it's dark, it's the middle of the night, and they are still trying to survive until someone finds them.
Yeah, before we get too far here, Sistine under the boat, when she gets freaked out at the body.
Yeah, her friend Hannah was floating under the boat, the one that got attacked and killed earlier.
Yeah, listen, obviously this isn't a great thing. No one likes this. It's the same thing I say in a lot of these movies when you're dealing with life and death, and that is, I don't care what you got to do, you shelve the emotions.
Well, I don't even think it was emotion. She's in the dark in a swamp in an overturned boat trying to find a cabinet that's locked to get the GPS out. And as she's trying to guide herself around with very little light, she sees her floating best friend. She screams. I think any normal person would. That's not emotion as much as it is the startling of not only seeing a body, but it being your best friend. It's not like she broke down and had a little crying
she was
fast
getting
or
real close
anything.
to breaking down. Like,
I think that's reasonable, especially if your emotions are on high alert after everything you've been through. You're going to say, you just be like, oh, well, too bad, so sad.
grieve when you're safe.
I don't think what she did was unrealistic. I can see any normal person doing that.
Agree to disagree.
So we get to a point now where someone has found them. The owner of the tour place, his name is Walker. Long story short, he has found them. And he has a boat and he has a light. And he's trying to get everyone out of the trees into his boat. And frickin' Dion starts yelling at Rodrigo again, who's just teetering in and out of consciousness after being drug underwater and attacked by a hippo, and starts yelling at him again, this is all your fault, we wouldn't be here without you. And in her hustle and bustle of moving around to get at him, she accidentally knocks Mike, who is the son, who is Sally's son, into the water, and he dies. F. Dion.
Yeah, so at this point, as soon as she starts being even mildly physically aggressive, I'm just looking at her and saying, you have two choices right now. Sit your ass down or we're going to throw you over the boat.
Yeah.
That's it, because you're not going to cause problems for other people. So sit your ass down or we're throwing you in the water. Or I'm throwing you in the water.
Well, that's murder. You can't intentionally throw someone in the water, but let me tell you, if things got desperate, I was definitely thinking Dion would be some good bait.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean,
she's responsible for Mike's death.
Listen, it's not murder in that case. It is survival. And if you are concerned that she is going to affect the survival of everyone else around you, like reasonably here, yeah, you.
Well, I think Dion should be charged with manslaughter for knocking Mike in the water and him dying, because it's 100% her fault, obviously not premeditated. So now at this point, we have our third victim. And Sally, being the mom of Mike and the daughter of Tim, has now lost the two people she came on this trip with, and she has lost her marbles at this point. I think understandably so. You're telling people to leave their emotions on the shore, but I think if you lose your son and your dad, I think you're going to be kind of a mess.
I'm sorry, I'm still not giving a pass. Like it's a difference between being a strong person and a weak person.
That sounds like someone who's never really been tested with something that was that scary and dangerous and unpredictable.
I've certainly been in my fair share of situations that I could have lost my head and didn't. Like, lose your head later.
Well, it's not like she was running around hysterical or anything. Her losing her head, so to speak, was much different. She basically shut down and started swimming in the water and kind of swam into the fog because she had checked out to some degree. So I can understand how someone would shut down, not only after losing your dad and your son, but seeing them die in front of you and being stuck in this untenable situation.
I'm still not swimming to my death for literally no reason.
Well, neither am I, but I think the point is that she clearly wasn't dealing with a full deck at that point after what she had been through. You're acting
that's
like
what I said. It's the difference between a strong person and a weak person, or at least minded. Strong-minded and weak-minded.
I think that's really judgy.
It is, but what? Like, this is Cinema IRL, where we discuss the things that we would do if we were in that situation.
Well, I'm glad to know you would be so strong in a life and death situation. So I look
to not commit suicide. Yeah, I think I can pretty safely say that I'm not gonna off myself.
I think that's the point, though, is you're bringing rational thought into irrational rational circumstances.
No, that's kind of one of my superpowers, actually.
Okie doke.
To keep my head in situations like that and still be able to think clearly.
Right.
Trust me, there's a lot of things that are wrong with me.
So at this point, we are down to Dion, Sistine, and Rodrigo has died in all of this exchange of Mikey getting eaten and them trying to trank the the hippo and whatnot. So we have Sistine, Walker, and Dion. And we have...
Yeah, he died
down
in
to
this
3.
very uneventful fashion. Just...
And the rest of the movie has trying to get away, docking on land, trying to hide in an old research breeding facility, and trying to survive the night. So what would you do if this point, there's 3 of you left, and you can't really see well, so you're not super sure what you're even paddling into, and the engine went out, so they have to paddle. So you're sticking things in the water, you're creating motion, and you can only go so quickly. What would you do? Would you stay in the water, or would you go to the shore like they did when they saw the building and go in the building?
Go to the shore. No question. I would go to the shore, I would climb up the stairs, and I would do everything I could to get away from that hippo, because the hippo's not going to hunt you. It just doesn't want you invading. It's been hunter-ish, but we do see why here shortly.
Well, for this area, there is a baby hippo who has been trapped under the metal grate of a cage where hippos were previously caged and bred, and the little baby is crying and can't get out. And
so let me just immediately, what would you do? I would do nothing but try to get that baby free immediately. Get everyone to help get that baby free. Because, again, hippos by nature, they're not hunters. They're vegetarians. So if they're being aggressive in a situation where you're falling back, it's because they're not being territorial. It's because they're being protective. And as soon as I see that baby hippo, I'm like, that's what they're being protective of. We have to get this baby free now.
I don't know if that's what they were being protective of in the water. I mean, that was a little bit of distance from there, and
well, yeah, no,
I don't
I
think
mean,
that's related at all.
That could have been a territorial thing, but by the time they come over to there and like the hippo's following them, that's when you can take territorial off the plate.
Yeah, I think if you've seen any movie at all, that if there is a baby that's trapped, if you help free the baby, the mommy is usually appreciative and lets you go.
Yeah.
So what would you do? Always save the baby and tell the mom what you're doing while you're doing it, and hope for the best.
I don't know about telling the mom. I'm not sure they're going to understand, but I'm definitely getting that baby out because I think that could have saved a couple of deaths. Though one of the deaths I was okay with.
Yeah, one of the
saving.
deaths was Dion, which it was good to see her die. And
She got rammed.
she did.
She got rammed by a hippo. Like they don't even have like tusks or stuff. It was just the blunt force of her getting shoved against that grating.
I had wished her death would have been more gruesome and painful. And our other death,
She did have a compound fracture before that in her leg, so that was
she did suffer a little
definitely
bit before she
painful.
died. Yeah. And then, of course, the other death was Walker, who was the owner who was out to save them. So at this point, we just have Sistine. All right. So when you're in the building, I agree with you. I would try and get up high as possible. But their idea is to light the building on fire to create smoke and fire to attract attention that they are out in the middle of nowhere.
no. That's
I thought it was, first of all, that building had a lot of stone on it. A lot of stone. I thought, well, that's only going to burn so much. And then, two, it's the middle of the night, so I don't know who's really looking for fire in the middle of the night.
hippos aren't going to just knock down buildings.
Well, they kind of did on the first floor.
Oh yeah, but in general, not so much. So, and also we have to know that at the very least, Walker's GPS is got to be with them. Because Walker did have one. And it might not be precisely in the building, but it's going to be right around that area. So you have to go back to someone's going to find us. Like,
I think my what would you do would be is not, despite understanding everything that they've been through and wanting to end this, I don't think my approach would be to try and resolve this in the middle of the night. Like, find an oil barrel, spill oil, try and start a fire, trying to attract people. I think I would wait it out, get to the highest point possible that Rhino couldn't get to, like up a flight of stairs or something, because this was more than one story, and wait for daylight. Everything's better in daylight.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I said, if I see the baby, I'm freeing the baby. If I don't see the baby, I'm just hiding out. And also, though, what would you do? I guess, kinda, sorta, it was helpful in the end. But if I'm Sistine, good Lord, I am not just lighting that on fire. You are covered in oil yourself.
Yeah, I thought that when she was doing that. I'm like, oh, goodness, this isn't going to end well. But it's movie magic, and she escapes. But here's the thing. We jumped a little bit forward to Walker and Dion dying, but let's jump back before they die.
No, in real life, boys and girls, you're not going to have movie magic. Don't light a bunch of oily things on fire if you are also oily.
So the hippo starts crashing through the door where Walker and Sistine and Dion are. And Walker doesn't realize the hippo's there, goes to the door, tries to keep the hippo out, and the hippo says basically, no way, I'm coming in, crashes through the door. Dion, who you say you kind of respect a little bit for just taking care of herself, closes the door, so Walker is trapped with the hippo, obviously resulting in his immediate death because he has nowhere to go to hide from this hippo because she locked the door and he couldn't get to safety. She is a big POS.
Yeah, at this point, she's expendable.
It's one thing to try and keep yourself safe and to get yourself home. I get it. But if your action actively contributes to the death of someone, you are a bad person.
Yeah, because here's the thing. The door swung in. So, like, if he doesn't make it to the door, and it's on him to make it, unfortunately, if he doesn't make it to the door, then the hippo's going to stop for at least a few seconds, and you can slam the door shut and put the bar down. If he does make it to the door, then you can slam the doors and put the bar down. Like, the likelihood of him making it through the doors and there not being enough separation between him and the hippo to close the doors, I think is very low. Extremely low. So, yeah, no, she was a bitch.
She was a selfish, terrible person, and I'm glad she died.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.